Let me paint you a scenario. So, imagine that you are a Seventh day Adventist in the Midwest in the 50s. I know, it's very relatable, but you're having a problem spreading the word of Seventh day Adventism to the masses, and you need something that will grab the attention of all the folks out there. And they knew that the future was in radio broadcasting and personal home audio equipment. Enter Reuben H. Zima of the Minneapolis Stevens Avenue Church and head of the Special Audio Visual Equipment Company, also known as SaveCo. He knew that what people really wanted was personal home recordings of Bible sermons, and to sweeten the deal, each audio playback device came with a projector, hence the V for visual in Save. The projector would just be that's not nearly as good. So, for the low price of $235.16, which is about $2,397 in 2021 dollars, you can have a Save Model A. 24 film strips, 20 audio recordings, and a 30 by 40 inch projector screen. But what is the Save Model A? As you can see, it's a wire recorder, which means that those 20 audio recordings that you would be sent are all done on wire. So the Save Model A was a Webster Model 178 wire recorder and a small projector, both stuffed into a box. On the lid of the box was a speaker with a cable long enough that the speaker could be placed by the projector screen while the rest of the unit sat elsewhere. And then there was room inside the box for additional wire storage. The idea is that you play the film when the wire played some songs or other audio off by the screen. Now, I don't have a Save Model A. This is not a Save Model A. This is not a wire recorder. This is for reel-to-reel tape. I wish I had a Save Model A. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find anywhere, or really any evidence that they existed, aside from a few ads, most of which were in the Northern Union Outlook, which is a Midwest Seventh-day Adventist newspaper that ran for a while. If anyone knows anything about the Save Model A or has one or any information, whatever, feel free to reach out for me, because that would be really interesting, especially given that I have this later model, which we'll talk about in a second. The model that I do have is the model BLT. I only found 2 little snippets proving that this thing existed. The first one looks like an announcement that SaveCo started making the BLT model. It cost about $262.45, which is something just shy of $2,500 in today's dollars, assuming that it came out in the late 50s. If it came out in the early 60s, it was a little cheaper. Anyway, inflation is wacky. I really don't know for sure when it came out because info is scarce. Okay, quick correction. As I'm editing this, I found a snippet about Save equipment from a July 1972 edition of the Outlook. Talks about how you can buy a record kit for $20, a deal on a record player for $17, so he must have also been selling records and record players, unless this is just a weird way to refer to tapes, but I kind of doubt that. It then goes on in later paragraphs to talk a little bit about the BLT unit, which leads me to believe that this unit was actually released in the early 70s or possibly late 60s, maybe, which means that that price adjusted for inflation would actually be closer to $1,600. Obviously, Zima and SaveCo weren't the only ones making stuff like this. There were a lot of people in the Seventh-day Adventist community and all over America who were making things like this. And it's kind of neat that this one is still around and still kicking, that I have it. But there were references to other people who made them. I'm just talking about Zima because I have one of his machines. I also found the address of where SaveCo used to be and discovered that is now a very lovely public park in Minneapolis. Okay, here we are on the floor. Here's my cat Lily. She's hanging out with us. Yep, okay, alright. Here's an empty tape reel. Don't need to worry about that. It's pretty heavy because it's all metal, pretty much. This is all metal. The bottom plate is a board of wood. And I can flip it around here so we can see. Safeco. There's the address of what is now a public park, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Model BLT serial 420. So just taking a quick tour around the thing. Here's the bottom. This big hole here is actually for when we put it in the box, and I'll demonstrate that later. This speaker fills up that space. And this is the box. Here's your two cables that come with it, power cable and a cable for the speaker to plug into there. And here's the other side of the box. It's kind of gross. Not really much to say about that. Anyway, so you can get a little bit of a look in here. Tubes galore. We've got 1, 2, 4 tubes, 5 tubes maybe. Looks like. Your motor. Yeah, there's your motor. Big spinny metal fan, a classic. Your flywheel's over there. You can see there's a rubber belt that is still in there, which is pretty neat. Unfortunately, the fast forward rewind functions don't work because there were supposed to be belts attaching to that wheel on the right and that one over on the left. And the second that I powered this thing on for the first time, those cloth belts, because they were cloth belts from, you know, late 50s, early 60s, whenever, they just disintegrated. They're gone. And to get to where you would need to put those, you would need to get in, like, into there, and then wrap them around through that little hole. Like, it was just more work than I was willing to put into this thing. I'm not gonna open it up for this video because, I mean, you can already see everything inside of there, and any work that I'm gonna do to it I've already done to get it working, and it mostly works, so that's cool. Special Audio Visual Equipment Company. There's your public park address again. Most of the electronics are actually in this lower portion, and you would access them by taking the entire thing apart. I mean, it took me a while to get to the stuff in here, but most of your boards are down here. Yeah, this thing is thick, like, good gracious. We're just gonna take a little tour all the way around it. You've got your output. This would be to plug in your speaker, which I'll demonstrate in a second. Record level, just a little light that flashes. Your on and off, which also in this case functions as a tone knob, which is interesting because normally your on-off would also be your volume knob. Not in this case, because your volume knob, it's its own knob right over here. Gets its own thing. Radio phono, it's just an input. Mic, spelled like the name instead of M-I-C, which is not super uncommon. This, I believe, is supposed to be a rewind function, and it moves that reel for some reason. The reason I think it's rewind is because the lever on the other side that moves this other reel is fast forward, or fast rewind. That'd be fast forward. Oh, so this one's probably fast forward. I know what I'm talking about. This little bulbous thing, I think, is part of the tape path, because there's a bunch of gunk on there. I tried to clean it off. It didn't want to come off, so I gave up because I don't care. But I'm pretty sure that that's part of the tape path. Speaking of the tape path, you may have noticed this writing here. Full reel this side. Full reel. So you put your tape, you put your reel with tape in it over here. Your tape comes down past the tape head. Pinch roller and capstan are on this side, but I'll pop these off to show you in a second. Then I think it comes down here and then up to the reel. If this isn't part of the tape path, I have no idea what it is. It's just like a weird bulbous little thing. It's really weird. I don't have any of the original tapes for this, unfortunately. I really wish I did. But anyway, your speed control, up for 3 3/4, down for 7 1/2. Big warning that says, change speed only when motor is running. The reason for this is because when you change the speed, so there's where your cloth belts would go, and then right below that is where your rubber belt is. And when you mess with the speed, when it's running, you see these little teeth down there? Those little teeth will grab the belt that's being pulled out and pull it onto a little smaller section down there to play at the different speed. Anyway, turn to play, press and turn to record. Yeah, there's no play button, it's a play knob. So play, and if you push it in turn, you're recording. So let's pop these bad boys off, show you the inside. Okay, so after nearly taking my own finger off, I got these little boys off. Also metal, very cool. Your knob. Anyway, so let's pop the knob back on here for a second. You can see your tape head. We can get a good view of that. There she is. Yeah, just a really wide mono tape head. Your couple of felt pads here, so that when you turn the play knob, felt pads press up against the play head, and your pinch roller presses up against the capstan. So now, with great personal risk to myself and my cat, we're going to plug it in and I will play a tape on it through the speaker. I did this earlier, so I know that it works. Though the speed control doesn't really work because the belt is really loose, but hey, we'll give it a shot. So here we go. Okay, so we got everything plugged in for the most part. Power cord over here, kind of a sketchy power cord. I have electrical tape on a lot of it. And then of course your output to your speaker, standard. And then on the other side it's that. That plugs in to the speaker, which is part of the case, right over there. So you may notice this does not look like, that's not standard. So totally flat, and then we have one peg, which leads me to believe that the tapes that you would put on this were, like, they had special reels for them. I'm going to use this, and we're just going to fudge it a little bit, because it is actually possible, if I can find the peg, to line up the peg with one of these holes and kind of fudge it. And do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to wind it and then show you how it works. I want to be honest, the first time that I tried putting tape on this, I was skeptical that 7-inch reels would even fit, and they're just barely have enough room. So anyway, tape path down here, pass the tape head, pinch roller. Pretty sure it's supposed to go around here, and then it goes up. Yeah, the cloth belts that would go on this would attach to behind the reels, and they would control the spindles. Unfortunately, because those cloth belts absolutely obliterated themselves, the reels will not move on their own. But the capstan still moves, because that's just attached via rubber belt to the motor. I am going to be able to play something, but I'm just going to have to hand wind this take-up reel over here. So, let's give it a shot. Oh wait, we got to turn it on first. If I had a nickel for every time I've made that mistake. Here it goes. Plugged into the speaker and play. Come on, baby. There she goes. Okay, so it's playing at the wrong speed, but it goes, it sure does. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit play, or turn play, I guess, and then while it's going, I'm gonna hand spool it and then quickly change the speed. And I'll show you how, because of the looseness of the belt, because of the age of the belt, that the rubber's gotten really loose, the slower speed doesn't actually work on this. So if you got a new belt, you can make the slower speed work. I really don't care, so I'm not going to put any work into this thing other than just the bare minimum that I've already done to get it up and running. But anyway, here's how you change the speed. So here we're going at the faster speed. Here's your faster speed, yada yada yada, and speed change. And because the belt, we'll just stop it. Because the belt is going on there looser, it's not going to play, and we'll show you that. You can kind of see how loose that belt is at the slower speed, and then when we switch it, there she goes. So I think just because of a loose belt, yeah, this thing probably isn't gonna play at that slower speed, which is fine, honestly. I don't really care. Come on, baby. Rewind. Come on. I'm just gonna have to do this. Woo, 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 woo. There it goes. Lily, look at it go. Oh, woo, 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 woo. And okay, there it goes. Yeah, let's not leave this plugged in any longer than it needs to be. Anyway, there it is. Absolute nonsense. Lily, what do you think of the save? It's good, right? So basically how this thing goes back together. That. And then this goes, I'm gonna do this kind of one-handed-ish, right in there. Fits right in there. And remember that speaker that was jutting out? It is now filling that cavity in the back of the tape deck. Then you have storage space here and a little bit over here. And you put your two cords. There's your cords, and then you just get your lid right on there. 3 latches. Seal it away. Get that in there. And then there's no latch on this 4th side. I mean, 3 is probably enough. Yeah, in one of the advertisements I found for this, it was advertised as being ideal for women, or for the ladies, I don't remember the wording of it, because it's lighter. If this is the light one, how much, what do the heavy ones weigh? I want to see that.